Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining. We'll start with Radha Madhav. Hari Bol. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Giravardhari. Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Giravardhari. Shodhanandana Vraj Jana Ranjana Shodhanandana Vraj Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tirvanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare 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 Bol. So chapter 15. Last time we were discussing the Pandavas and Kunti Mata thinking of leaving. Now that Krishna is gone, and Krishna karma as well comes through his hands, and he distributes it according to time, place and circumstance. And also we discuss how Krishna can appear anytime, anywhere, as he desires. So first of all, let's do the praise. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanti Mridasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunatham Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Prishna Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranmami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatu Vrehascha Kirpa Sindhuvevacha Patitana Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpatam Vande Shri Gurundin Taranam Paramanandamadam Shri Chaitanyeshram Hariyam Tassat. Narayan Namaskritya Naram Jeva Naruttamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jamaduriyat Nasta Presha Abdureshu Nityam Bhagavata-Sevayā Bhagavati Uttam Shlokya Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Okay, so we are on verse 35, which we couldn't complete last time. So let's pick up from there. Right. Yatha matsyadi rupani datte jahayad yatha nataha bhubaraha shapito yena jahutacha kalevaram. So yatha, as much as, matsya adi, incarnation as a fish, etc. Rupani, forms. Date, eternally accepts. Jayat, apparently relinquishes. Yatha, exactly like. Natha, magician. Bhu baraha, burden of the world. Shapitaha, relieved. Yena, by which. Jahu, let go. That cha, also. Kalevaram, body. So the Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquishes one body to accept different ones, like the fish incarnation and others. So this is interesting. The Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, is another impersonal, no formless, but his body is not different from him. He is known as the embodiment of eternity, knowledge and bliss. So his body is not different from him. Eternity, knowledge and bliss. Whereas we say our soul is eternal, is embodiment of eternity, knowledge and bliss. So there's no difference between Krishna's soul and Krishna himself. In the Brihad Vaishnava Tantra, it is clearly mentioned that anyone who considers the form of Lord Krishna to be made of material energy must be ostracized by all means. And if by chance the face of such an infidel is seen, one must clean himself by jumping in the river with his clothing. So it's like, that's, you mansikally, you do that, not going to do it like, practically, jump into river with your clothes, but mansikally, it just shows the feelings that one has. The Lord's dying or quitting his body is like the jugglery of a magician. The magician shows by his tricks that he is cut to pieces, burnt to ashes, or made unconscious by hypnotic influences. But all are false shows only. Factually, the magician himself is neither burned to ashes nor cut to pieces, nor is he dead or unconscious at any stage of his magical demonstration. Similarly, the Lord has his eternal forms of unlimited variety, of which the fish incarnation, Matsya Avatar, as was exhibited within this universe, is also one, because there are innumerable universes. Somewhere or other, the fish incarnation must be manifesting his pastime without cessation. In this verse, the particular word daite, eternally accepted, not the word ditva, accepted for the occasion, is used. The idea is that the Lord does not create the fish incarnation. He eternally has such a form, and the appearance and disappearance of such an incarnation serves particular purposes. So all these incarnations, they are eternal incarnations, and their pastimes are eternal. It's just only the Virat Roop that Krishna shows, especially, but it's not eternal. It's considered material anyway. So anything material is not eternal. And all these incarnations, they are transcendental. The idea that the Lord does not create the fish incarnation, he eternally has such a form, and the appearance and disappearance of such an incarnation serves particular purposes. In the Bhagavad-Gita, verses 7.24 and 5, the Lord says, the impersonalists think that I have no form, that I am formless, but that at present I have accepted a form to serve a purpose, and now I am manifested. But such speculators are factually without sharp intelligence. Though they may be good scholars in the Vedic literatures, they are practically ignorant of my inconceivable energies and my eternal forms of personality. So this is interesting. It says, though there may be good scholars in the Vedic literatures. So we have to remember that Gyan, knowledge, scholarliness, it means nothing. It means nothing on its own, has no meaning. Because that Gyan or scholarliness or Vedic knowledge is just a spotlight, right? It's a torchlight to see the real thing. Gyan, our knowledge is only a light to understand who Krishna is, what our relationship with him is, about Krishna's appearance and disappearance, to understand Krishna, our connection with Krishna. That's what this knowledge is there for. Knowledge on its own is waste of time. It's only if we use that torchlight of knowledge to understand the real meaning that we try to understand. Otherwise, knowledge. So these Gyanis, they know everything, but they don't know how to use it. They don't use it in the right way. They don't understand that Krishna has a form and what our relationship with him and how we should serve him. There is no devotion involved. So Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Parpadaite Vasudeva Sarmitvi Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So after many lifetimes, these Gyanis shine this torchlight, God knows where, understand that actually Vasudev is the real is God, not just some refulgence or impersonalism. The reason is that I reserve the power of not being exposed to the non-devotees by my mystic curtain. So Krishna fulfills all desires. If they think Krishna is impersonal, then he remains impersonal for them. The less intelligent fools are therefore unaware of my eternal form, which is never to be vanquished and is unborn. Because he is the unborn, so thing that hasn't taken birth doesn't die. In the Padma Puran, it is said that those who are envious and always angry at the Lord are unfit to know the actual and eternal form of the Lord. So Krishna conceals himself from these people. In the Bhagavatam, also it is said that the Lord appeared like a thunderbolt to those who were restless. Shishupal, at the time of being killed by the Lord, could not see him as Krishna, being dazzled by the glare of the Brahmajyoti. Therefore, the temporary manifestation of the Lord as a thunderbolt to the wrestlers appointed by Kamsa, or the glaring appearance of the Lord before Shishupal, was relinquished by the Lord. But the Lord, as the magician, is eternally existent and is never vanquished in any circumstance. Such forms are temporarily shown to the asuras only. And when such exhibitions are withdrawn, the asuras think the Lord is no more existent, just as the foolish audience think the magician to be burned to ashes or cut to pieces. The conclusion is that the Lord has no material body, and therefore he is never to be killed or changed by his transcendental body. So we're comparing the Lord to our own body, and whatever way our bodies can be destroyed, we think Krishna can be destroyed the same way, because we see his body equal to ours. But that is not the case. And also, we saw Shishupal on TV when he was killed by Krishna, that he actually went into the body of Krishna. So these things, going into the effulgence of the Lord, or going into the body of the Lord, they're really not recommended. That's not what we want. We don't want to go into the body of the Lord or go into his effulgence. We want to be able to serve the Lord. That is our relationship. We don't want to be one with the Lord. We want to serve him as individuals, as his servants. That should be our desire. So there's anything to add. Krishna doesn't have two bodies. He only has a spiritual body. It says here, even for living entity in the spiritual world, the spirit soul is the body. So once we get to spiritual world, our soul is the body, or we get a spiritual body, which is exactly same as our soul. when Krishna left this world, he did leave a form. That form was for the atheists, so they can carry on believing that Krishna was like human and he's left his body and he's dead. Krishna, he's like that. He fulfills all desires, and if that's what they want to believe, then he will, he'll go out his way and show them, okay, you carry on believing this. So he leaves it to us to decide. He doesn't decide for us. And in 36, Yada Mukundo Bhagwan Imam Mahim Jahu Swatanva Sharvaniya Satkatha Tadarava Priti Bhut Chetasam Abhadra Hetu Kali Anva Vartata. So Yada, when Mukundaha, Lord Krishna, Bhagwan, the personality Godhead, Imam, this Mahim, earth, Jahu, left, Savtanva, with his self-same body, Sharvinya Satkatha, hearing about him is worthwhile. Tada, at that time, Aha Eva, from the very day, Aprati Buddh Chetasam, of those whose minds are not sufficiently developed, Abhadra Hetu, cause of all ill fortune, Kalhi Anva Vartata, Kali fully manifested. So when the personal Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create in auspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. So Kali was waiting, because Kali has a job to do, but he cannot do the job while Krishna is present. While the boss is here, he cannot do the job. He waits for Krishna to go, and then now I'm the king here, and I'm the ruler here in this material world, on this planet, and he can cause all the havoc he wants. It's up to us to take shelter of Krishna through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, through the scriptures, through the instruction of spiritual master. That is up to us whether we use it or not. So the influence of Kali can be enforced only upon those who are not fully developed in God consciousness. So we have a shield. We can choose to use it or not. One can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under the supreme care of the personality Godhead. The age of Kali ensued just after the battle of Kurukshetra, but it could not exert its knowledge because of the presence of the Lord. The Lord, however, left this earthly planet in his own transcendental body, and as soon as he left, the symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as were envisioned by Maharaj Yudhishthira prior to Arjun's arrival from Dwarka, began to manifest. And Maharaj Yudhishthira rightly conjectured on the departure of the Lord from the earth, because those symptoms could only be there if Krishna was not here. As we have already explained, the Lord left our sight just as when the sun sets, it is out of our sight. So it's not that the sun is no longer there, it's just not in our sight. That's all. Now it's in somebody else's sight. So that's 36, and we can say one can neutralize the effects of Kali by keeping oneself fully under supreme care. The supreme care can be provided in the association of devotees as well. So it's very important that we take the association of devotees. If we try to do it alone, it's very difficult. When the devotees come together collectively as a community, and in that community, the focus of every single member in that community is to be one and only take full shelter of Krishna. So we have the same goal, and there is power in community, the power in unity. When you chant, everybody chants together. That's very powerful. When everybody blesses someone together, it's very powerful. And when you have same goal, Kali can fight us individually, but Kali cannot fight us when we are united. So under the shelter of Krishna's supreme care, so collectively everyone's aspiration and intention and desires to be under the shelter of Krishna's supreme care, collectively that community acts as a neutralizing effect on Kali. So Kali is not powerful when we're in a group, which means that anyone who comes in that community, they may experience a spiritual environment. They may experience some purity in that place because everybody's come together and Kali is not able to attack them. This is how we can create a community of those who are taking full shelter of Krishna under his care, thereby caring for each other and any soul that enters that caring environment. So it's very, very important that we welcome people in the community, give them shelter, because they have come for shelter, they need help. So help them, it's very important. Jiva there, Lord Chaitanya says, very, very important. They will also be protected. And caring for devotees. Caring for the souls that come into the community means firstly having a caring mentality. So we must be empowered mentally to think like that. Oh yes, I need to care for these people. Sometimes it doesn't even occur to us that we need to help people. And then having the caring attitude. So having a caring mentality, having the caring attitude. Then having the caring action. So not good just thinking about it, you got to do something about it. So all three need to be there: mentality, attitude, and action. So all three need to be there, all based on the supreme care of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So Krishna is very satisfied, is very happy when we care for his other jivas who are actually, if somebody is coming to the community, then they are coming for protection. It's like walking into a police station. You want help, right? You have not come there, just to a party. You have come there because you need protection. And 37. Yudhishthira's tat parisparapanam buddha pure charasthare chagriha tathatmani vibhavya lobhantra jima himsanadi adaram chakram gamanya pridhiyatat. So Yudhishthira, Maharaj Yudhishthira, that parisaparanam, expansion, Buddha, thoroughly experienced, pure in the capital, Cha, as also Rashtre in the state, Cha and Grehe at home, Tatha as also Atmani in person, Vibhavya, observing, Lob, avarice, Anarita, untruth, Jima, diplomacy, Himsan, Adi, violence, envy, Adharma, religion, Chakram, a vicious circle, Gamman, Naya, for departure, Prayadat, dressed himself accordingly. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of the age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital, state, home, and among individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. So the present age is influenced by the specific qualities of Kali. Since the days of the battle of Kurukshetra about 5,000 years ago, the influence of the age of Kali began manifesting and from authentic scriptures it is learned that the age of Kali is still to run on 427,000 years. So it's 432,000 years altogether, and 427,000 years are still to go. The symptoms of the Kali Yuga, as mentioned above, namely avarice, falsehood, diplomacy, cheating, nepotism, violence, and all such things, are already in vogue, and no one can imagine what is going to happen gradually with further increase of the influence of Kali till the day of annihilation. So it's interesting that even nepotism has been included in the symptoms of Kali Yuga. Interesting. We have already come to know that the influence of the age of Kali is meant for godless, so-called civilized man, those who are under the protection of the Lord have nothing to fear from this horrible age. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a great devotee of the Lord. Not those who are in protection of the Lord have nothing to fear from the horrible age. Not only that, I've seen there's something that we all go through. It's called Saraswati. It comes every 7 years.
7.5 years.
Yeah, sort of 7.5 years. We get it. And I remember before we took shelter of the Lord, as we are trying to do now, it can have a very horrible effect on you. And you go to a astrologer and he tells you, oh, you have your Saraswati at the moment, it's going to be run from this period to that period. The Shani Dev is really
Testing you.
is giving you a horrible time, but is to teach you something, so you might come out a better person on the other side. But if you have taken shelter from the Lord, you sail through it, because Shani Dev is also a devotee of Krishna, and he knows that you have learned your lessons, and you are, whatever he wants you to do, you're doing now anyway. So there is no big lessons there might be some small lessons to learn, but you don't even notice them. But there's no big lessons to learn, because you are already on the right path. It's not that you're going the wrong way and he has to correct you, bring you in the right direction. You're already going the right direction. He may need to push you a little bit just to speed you up, but otherwise he's happy that you're doing, and you don't even feel it. You don't really feel it.
Shani is happy that we're serving Krishna.
Yeah, that's right. So Pandavas are eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore they are more interested in the company of the Lord than anything else. Besides that, being an idle king, Maharaj Yudhishthira wanted to retire just to set an example for others. Because he's an emperor. Yeah? So whatever good men do, others follow. So Maharaj has to do the right needful thing, which he would have done anyway, but even to set an example, Krishna set an example for everyone, and Maharaj Yudhishthira is doing the same. As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. That does not mean you leave home. It just means that you focus more on spirituality than making money and wealth. One should not rot in the dark well of household life till one is dragged out by the will of Yamraj. Modern politicians should take lessons from Maharaj Yudhishthira about voluntary retirement. So it's just about retiring, semi-retiring. Because a lot of people don't want to give up their seat, right? Their status, their position. You're known as a businessman or a minister, and you think, well, if I give that up, then what will people call me? Just an old retired person. They don't want that. They want to be, saluted when they go somewhere. More politicians should take lessons from Maharaj Yudhishthira about voluntary retirement from active life, and should make room for the younger generation. The Krishna created the system that out with the old, in with the new. Also, retired old gentlemen should take lessons from him and leave home for spiritual realization before being forcefully dragged away to meet death. So, but like I said, Lord Chaitanya said, you don't need to leave home. Mentally, you can leave home, or you can visit pilgrimages, dhams, but you don't need to leave home, and you can still continue with your bhakti. 37. So we should understand the priority should be focused on what is important. Maharaj Yudhishthira has trained the younger generation for this day, so they could take over. So they're already preparing for this, because they know everything is temporary. Even the seat of the emperor for Maharaj Yudhishthira was temporary, and he knew that. So they have to train up the next generation to take over, and then they will train up. Like when Maharaj Parikshit left, he already trained up his next generation that to take over from him. So that's the way it is. That's the system, and we have to understand that, not just hold on till the last breath or something. We have to pass it on, and so we know that there will be changes in our life, right? We all know changes have happened. We can just look back at our own life, how changes have taken place. We know where we were when we were a teenager or a youth, and going to adulthood. Things have changed a lot. Everything's changed. People have changed. Once we were under the protection of the parents, now we have our own children. Things change, and yet things will change again. It's not that we cannot continue the way we are. Things will change, hopefully for the better. Things always change. Changes take place, whether it's after 10 years or 20 years, changes take place, and we have to be mindful of that yes, the change is coming, and we should not be afraid, oh, things might change. Well, if it changes, very well, because we still got protection of Krishna. It doesn't matter what changes, whatever status we have. One thing that should never change is the protection of the Lord. So while we have that, there is no need to fear any kind of change. 38. Swarat potram viniyinam atmanha susaman gunahi tayo nibha patim bhume abhyashchi nachat gajha have. So Swarat, the emperor, potram, onto the grandson, vina yinam, properly trained, atmanha, his own self, susamam, equal in all respects, gunahi, by the qualities, toya nibha, bordered by the seas, patim, master, bhume, of the land, abhyashinchat, enthroned, gajahavye, in the capital of Hastinapur. So thereafter in the capital of Hastinapur, he enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas. The total land on the earth bordered by the seas was under the subjugation of the king of Hastinapur. Maharaj Yudhishthira trained his grandson Maharaj Parikshit, who was equally qualified in state administration in terms of the king's obligations to the citizens. So Maharaj Parikshit was ready to become an emperor, and we have talked extensively about Maharaj Parikshit and how much qualities he had. He was compared to Krishna, to Bhishamdev, Yudhishthira, Arjun. Is compared to everyone. He had all the qualities. Thus Parikshit was enthroned on the seat of Maharaj Yudhishthira prior to his departure back to Godhead. Concerning Maharaj Parikshit, the specific word was Vin Yinam, is significant. Why was the king of Hastinapur, at least till the time of Maharaj Parikshit, accepted as the emperor of the world? The only reason is that the people of the world were happy because of the good administration of the emperor. The happiness of the citizens was due to ample production of natural produce such as grains, fruits, milk, herbs, valuable stones, minerals, and everything that the people needed. They were even free from all bodily miseries, anxieties of mind, and disturbances caused by the natural phenomena and other living beings. Because everyone was happy in all respects, there was no resentment, although there were sometimes battles between the states, kings, for political reasons and supremacy. Everyone was trained to attain the highest goal of life, and therefore the people were also enlightened enough not to quarrel over trivialities. The influence of the age of Kali gradually infiltrated the good qualities of both the kings and the citizens. Therefore, a tense situation developed between the ruler and the ruled, but still, even in this age of disparity between the ruler and the ruled, there can be spiritual emolument of and God consciousness. That is the special prerogative. So Kali started doing his thing, but Maharaj Parikshit was there. Maharaj Parikshit was also very powerful. People feared him. They either respected him or they feared him. So he had everyone under his control, and he even controlled Kali. He was limited in what Kali could do while Maharaj Parikshit was there. So that is 38. So Srila Prabhupada is showing how the citizen can be kept happy by offering all these things that we just read. They are happy when there is plenty of natural produce. No matter how degraded Kali Yuga becomes, the opportunity is always there to revive God consciousness. That is a special prerogative in the age of Kali. So it's even easier to revive God consciousness in the age of Kali, because we really need the protection. It has to be there. It's that what do they call it? Protection gear that, like we have the COVID PP something. What do they call it?
Mask, PPE, something.
Yeah, PPE, something like that. All this stuff that you have to wear to protect yourself. So it's more readily available. It's there, and it's made very easy to use as well. We just chant the name. There's no need for big yajnas or meditating for hundreds of years. You just chant the holy name. Chant as you go. That's all you got to do. And you carry on with your life. And it's that simple. So thank you so much. So I think we'll stop here and hear from yourselves on this. Okay, we'll hear from Hina Mataji. And then we go to Pranikash Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much. So these final verses that we're entering Krishna's final pastimes on the earth, and he's wrapping up his lila. And despite that, even though his earthly pastimes are over, his lila still continuing, eternal, continuing in the spiritual realm, which gives us comfort. He came for a number of specific reasons, as we know, the pleasure of the devotees, to destroy the demonic, and even 5,000 years later, we're still talking about his lila, which is wonderful. I really like the point that Srila Prabhupada made. You highlighted it as well, Prabhupada, around the concept of retirement, which is very interesting. And as we see today, there's so many mature world leaders who don't want to give up their power, their influence. They're pushing 70 plus, and they're still they're still not ready to let go. Still trying to hang on to everything that they've had, that they've gained in this life. Whereas, as Srila Prabhupada says, the Vedic concept of retiring, where he recommends that you should thinking about retirement from the age of 50 makes complete sense. So you're able to dedicate the latter part of your years to devotional service. One's family responsibilities will be a lot less, etc. You can detach yourself. So I really, really like that. And then you also mentioned how my thoughts were around on the last verses around how we're so fortunate that we are in this age of Kali, and that even more blessed because this is the same age when Sri Chaitanya also appeared. So we're even more blessed, and we're part of that eternal lila as well in terms of helping to spread the holy name. So we are very fortunate. So it's just a matter of sticking to the principles that have been laid out to us by Srila Prabhupada, chanting, devotional service, the limbs of bhakti, essentially, not cause any offences. It's just basic stuff which we need to prioritize. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Purikash Prabhu, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranam. Hare Krishna and all devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All good to Srila Prabhupada. These verses are very, very, very deep verses. I feel, Prabhuji, we need to read I need to read many a times these verses. So a lot of information is there. To start with, Amrita, Prabhupada nicely explained what is meant by Amrita. Amrita means no Amrita, and we know that body is only destined to death, but not the soul. and Krishna is Parama Purusha Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, so he is a super soul, and his body is not different to himself, and Krishna doesn't take birth as such, he just appear and disappear, as you mentioned, like sun appears and disappears. So, and not just Krishna but all his plenary expansions, and like any avatar like Varaha avatar, all of them already existing, they just come when needed on what planet. And so that is one beautiful thing. And Lord will not uncover to his non-devotees. So Kali is nothing but absence of Krishna consciousness. So where there is no Krishna consciousness, Krishna won't uncover himself to those non-devotees. So we need to develop that fund of knowledge. One who has that knowledge, he'll be protected. Like Arjuna and Pandavas were all like eternally they are companions of the Lord. So as we would say, out of 5 kinds of liberation, devotee do not desire for any of those liberation, but they just need to be in service of the Lord wherever they are. Either it could be in whatever planet we are, we just aspire to serve the Lord. And when you serve the Lord, we are protected by the Lord directly. So we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita in the morning. Lord was dancing before Rath, and Lord was protected in 3 circles by Nityan Mahaprabhu and another Prabhu and then Pratap Rudra. And they're trying to protect the Lord. Nobody should come close to Lord when Lord is in that kind of ecstasy mode. So Lord gives protection to those who protect Lord as well. And Kali, Prabhupada mentioned Kali is yet to come, like for 4.27000 years, Kali is still there. But I was just thinking, like when Krishna was there, the Dharma they exist. But if you see Duryodhan of those days and the people of nowadays, I don't see much difference. So that means I was just reading about this, Prabhuji. So it was said that this the Mahabharat war was at the end of Dwapar Yuga, almost at the end of, like even Duryodhan took birth at the end of Dwapar Yuga. So that's why he is called as the personification, like manly personification of Kali Yuga already. So it is not just Kali's effect, but it is his own nature, as you mentioned, like the all lobha, everything, all bad is there in him already, and they all were demons in the previous life. They took birth just to cause disruptions. That's all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was recommended that the parents get rid of Duryodhan because they predicted that he will do nothing good, but they wanted to keep him anyway, and they did not listen. And then he proved them, the forecast right, and okay, we blame Dhritarashtra, but we have to blame Duryodhan as well for all this massacre.
Shakuni as well.
But it was meant to happen, but Krishna willed it. He wanted that anyway, because there's so many demonic powers. So Duryodhan actually used to bring all these powers together, so Krishna could destroy them under one area, get them all together and destroy them. So yeah, it's Krishna's will. We don't have, his plans are a lot bigger than our vision. So he knows what to do, but we do have a choice. They had a choice who would take the Pandav side, who would take the Kaurav side. So at least we have some free will to use. What circumstances might not be under our control, but what we do in those circumstances is in our control, so we can decide. Thank you, Prabhu. And yes, you mentioned about the liberation. One kind of liberation is becoming one with Krishna, and that is really not recommended. Thank you, Prabhu. Kiran Prabhu, Hari Bari Bol.
Hare Krishna, everybody. 432,000 years of Kali Yuga, of which there are 427,000 years only to go. So we're at the golden age of the Kali Yuga. And I think we're very, very privileged people to be aware of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because having this knowledge, the knowledge has to be purposeful. Knowledge for the sake of attaining it and accumulating it in one's head is mundane, is not purposeful. It's only for personal gain and use. But that knowledge used for the development of others, the development of your sadhana and your bhakti, and to bring about change is much more desirable. That knowledge has to be put into action. And what we are developing is a community which is centered on that compassion of Krishna consciousness. A community which is based on looking after each other, caring for each other, supporting each other, and having a mindset which is enabling people to be not challenging in a negative way, but those engaged in this process are elevating each other to become important members of the community and society. We know Krishna has left, only physically at that time, because he had to make room for Kali to come through. Kali is here, she has a job to do. But we have to be mindful of how we help others during the Kali Yuga and how we develop those qualities within ourselves to help others through this process. We have to help support those souls which are God conscious. We also have to be mindful that there are people who may not be interested. You accept people as they are, but do have to put in the effort and the time to elevate those on that path. Krishna avatars came in different forms to serve a purpose at different times. And hence, people had learning from this. Yudhishthira Maharaj was a classic example of a Raja Rishi. He knew when to depart and to move on timely, or to retire timely. This should be a lesson to all of us. We want to be forever youthful and young, but when you're wrinkled and old, you cannot compete in the Olympics like people used to when they were younger. And it is an example of what's happening in society, corruption at the highest level. You can see that there are people who want to maintain and hold on to positions of power and privilege at any expense, even at the expense of compromising a nation's security. And we have these people all over the world. India is no different. We have been given lessons in developing this beautiful knowledge. And when the time comes, we have to give up the seats for others. Too many people want to hold on to the seats in temples. Even those people, the presidents, have become more important than the deities that they have installed in the temples. They do not make room for the youth. Never mind, Yamraj he's just waiting with his dogs. There will be space created sooner or later. But if you create space out of consent and out of making space for others to develop a community that is helpful and serving, that is what we need to do. Hare Krishna. Succession planning is so important in all organizations. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. Praveen Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It's very nice verses. Explain how Lord, he doesn't have a material body, he's all transcendental. He has many, he has eternal forms in different varieties, and he comes to serve a mission in different, like Matsya Avatar or Vara Avatar. And when the job is done, and then we don't see him, but he is present in other universes. He is eternal. All these forms are eternal. And we are very fortunate. We got this devotional service as an antidote in Kali Yuga. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada and mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And like Kundrakaksh Prabhu said, we are reading Chaitanya Charitamrita. We read Cleansing of the Gundicha temple. Now we're reading the ecstatic dancing of the Lord at the Rath Yatra. So it is so nice to read what Srila Prabhupada has given us. And it is just like you're experiencing firsthand, all coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the mood, how to develop our mood, prem bhakti. So we are very, very fortunate. And then it talks about Yudhishthira Maharaj, how he served, he did his duty, but when the time came, when he realized Parikshit is all able and capable, and he wanted him to be the king and, leave, because he wanted to be with the Lord, because he realized Krishna has left. So, these are the lessons for us. What is important in life? We can't carry on with our material duties. Devotional service is very important. We have to be dedicated and spend our time wisely. Can't remember any of the points. What else is left? Yeah, and then about Parikshit Maharaj as well, explained how the word was used, Vinayam, respectful of duty, and like you said, how he was compared to all different personalities, great personalities. He was well trained, he was disciplined, he had all the good qualities. So that's another thing we need to learn, that when whatever job we do, we have to do, to the best standard. So it comes to devotional service as well. So we have to be very, very dedicated, determined, enthusiastic. And we are very fortunate, this is the golden time. So Kali can't affect us. When we are God conscious, we are under the protection of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna. Well, they're non-different. So we can be happy, chant and be happy. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Ajay Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. There's some important point there, verses that Kali's influence is there if you allow Kali to influence you. The problem for us is that the society in general doesn't understand that it's suffering. It tends to ignore it or look for methods to escape it. So, for example, intoxication would be an example, rather than actually deal with the root problem. And we're fortunate that we understand that the root problem is that we're not following what is our natural constitution, that is service of Krishna. That is, establishing that loving relationship with the Lord. And like with any issue, we can't, if you just ignore it, it just gets worse and worse. And that's what happens for so many souls in different universes. It's just you become more bound by the material energy, bound by the influence of Kali, assuming you're in Kali Yuga, of course, that you forget everything. You forget even what you are. You forget you are a spirit soul. You become obsessed with your body, become obsessed with family, with possessions, with temporary things, and And that's what leads to degradation. That's what leads to Kali becoming more powerful. Kali doesn't have to do anything half the time. It relies on you making your own, essentially digging your own grave. Really, it's just it's quite sad if you think about it. That rather than people there's a tendency to take the easy way out. Now, when you take the bhakti and actually get steady, actually develop some steadiness in bhakti, you find it's very, very uplifting. It's very enriching. It's wonderful. Actually, it's truly wonderful. It just does take a bit of effort. You actually got to try and develop a bit of taste. That's all it is. Unfortunately, we don't go straight into pure goodness. We have to try and get into the mode of goodness, and it is explained that the mode of goodness, it starts off bitter, but then becomes sweet. And that's it's like the obvious example is given with food is an easy example. Like junk food, you might enjoy it initially, but then it becomes bitter because of these effects it has on you. Whereas healthy food might not always be nice at the beginning necessarily, but once you develop that taste, you realize actually it is just my own taste buds are a bit messed up. And not only does it taste nice, it's good for you as well. That's all we need to do. We have the process here. We just need to take to it. It's just not Kali's just doing his job really. He's not really that fussed whether you want to enjoy so-called material benefits, if you want to just hang around here or not. He's picked up his role and he's just doing it. You just got to understand that you've got to do your job, and that's serve the Lord, serve the devotees. Again, sometimes people think, oh, this sounds really simple, and it's not that simple. It is actually quite simple. It's just you actually just got to take to it. If you actually take to it properly, it becomes very easy. It's when you try to find excuses or not actually endeavor, not actually think about what you're doing, being Krishna conscious, then it's when it becomes difficult. Just a bit of, just all it takes is a bit of effort, a bit of preparation, and a bit of do some. If anything, at half time it's just a bit of desire, really. If you have some desire to actually serve the Lord, then the Lord will reciprocate. The Lord will help you. He will help you from within. He'll help you with the association of devotees. Could be whether they be devotees on the same level as you or devotees who are more senior. All this is possible if you just actually follow the process. It's worked for Swami before, and it can work for you. That's what we always forget that. We always think, oh, we're some special case that it won't work or it's more difficult for us. No, everyone's gone through their own difficulties, but essentially the same process there. We have to remove our conditioning, purify ourselves, and then fully engage ourselves in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, Krishna, you're not expecting miracles from us. The standard is low. The exam is much easier than the previous yugas, because he's not from Kali Yuga bodies and this time he's disturbed mind, disturbed bodies. He's not expecting a great deal, so he's made the exam really easy. It's up to us whether we want to pass or not. Thank you so much. Radharani?
Hare Krishna, everyone. My pranams to all of you. Yes, wonderful verses. Every time there's a fountain of nectar coming from the Bhagavatam. Every time you open any Shastra, anything which has been given purpose by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, it's more and more nectarian because we can understand it so beautifully. If it was just the Sanskrit verses, we wouldn't have understood nothing. And if it wasn't for these purports, we would be, just like Gyanis, all of us. Just hear something from the Kathavachaks, the persons who give the Kathas, where you just hear, like, just sitting there like dumb people. This is what I feel sometimes, that you can't question them, you can't ask anything to them. If you can't question, if you can't ask for the logic and ask for that where it is coming from, why it is so, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, passing your time. But thanks to Srila Prabhupada, he has made it's just like a classroom situation. Every time you sit down with a verse or anything to discuss with each other, and it satisfies your hearts, and we can feel that our souls feel nourished when we get up from these discussions. The analogy of magician given to Krishna is beautiful. Krishna is a magician, isn't it? If you don't understand Bhagwan, if you don't understand the higher authority, you do understand something is there, some magic is there around you, which brings about the day, which brings about the seasons, which brings about the resources just from the earth. When you look at earth, it seems that how is this all happening? How water is nourishing, how sunlight is nourishing things. But the magician is there, and he's working in so many places, above and below, in the spiritual world, in the universes below us and around us. And to know that like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given to us, that we should have Namaruchi, Jivadaya and Vaishnav Seva. These are the three pillars we have to follow, whether we like it or not. That is how our bhakti is going to progress, and we have to be prepared to renounce our the lower tastes, which are sometimes keeping us from taking on the higher taste. And we, as a person, we understand what are our shortcomings, and we have to work on them. And if just by remembering that everything is temporary, even our enjoyments are temporary, and our desires are also temporary. We might be liking something for few months, few years, and after that, that thing doesn't even means anything to us. So this shows that it's just our hoarding mentality of our minds, that, oh, I want this, I want that. But it is nothing in big scheme of things. Devotional service to Krishna, to Sri Krishna, to the highest, to the one who owns everything, who is the owner of our souls as well. That is the highest in this life for all of us, and we should remember that. And another thing I liked was the nepotism. The word nepotism used by Srila Prabhupada in the purport, that Kali Yuga has got this bad symptom of nepotism as well. And it is seen in people around us as well, isn't it? We favor our loved ones only, we favor the ones we like. But we should think as devotees that everyone is a jiva of Krishna, everyone is a child of Krishna. If somebody is prepared, give them what you have got, because then Krishna is going to be very happy with you. This is what Krishna wants from us as devotees. He says, spread my word, spread it in the right way, in the right way you've understood from the great teachers, from the great acharyas. And it should be as it is, not something you just wrap it with some nice your own understandings, and then you give it to the innocent people out there. It shouldn't be the case. And everything is borrowed, like we use this word here in the discussion all the time, that all our energies are borrowed from Krishna. All our brains, all the resources we have, we are proud that, okay, we have got so much wealth or health or knowledge, but everything has come from Krishna. He can take it away with the click of a finger. So while we have it, let us use it in the right purpose, that is for Krishna, and please apply something what we hear from here, or any of the great acharyas, even if it's a little bit, because that is how our advancement happens as a devotee, as a person in life. So thank you all for your wonderful realizations, and I look forward to more realizations coming from you in the coming weeks and years. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thanks so much. Yeah, Pratikash Prabhu just mentioned that it's easy to give up easier to give up the externals, like he says, like eating and traveling to here and there. But the internals are much stronger, and they get stronger with age, because you can't teach an old person new tricks. And if you set in your ways, you have your lust, anger, greed, pride, illusion, envy, habit, and gossiping. A lot of people, they just can't. They have to just a lot of criticism about other people, and they will just carry on, and they can't stop. Because they built this habit and they never try to control it. So yeah, And then as they get older, it's even more harder to control. You don't have the mental strength to control those things. Yeah, so it's very important we check not just externally. That's what we were talking about last Sunday. That in the anarthas, there, we've given up the sinful actions that we do. We follow the rules of man, and we follow the rules of God. We follow two kinds of rules. What God doesn't like, and what the law says that we shouldn't do. So we're following those. But then we have anarthas inside as well that we need to get rid of, and really need to work on those hard, because Krishna knows you are from outside, he knows it from inside. So wonderful. Thank you for mentioning that,
And
Prabhu.
plus that they are difficult to get rid of as well, because they have been with us from life after life. Not just the bad habits which we have accumulated in this lifetime. Our souls, our subtle body, our ego and intelligence has got the imprints from the past lives. So we have to work not just for what we have done wrong in this life, in our habit bank, but in the habit bank of past lives. It's all accumulated there. So the more we chant, the more we hear the Shastras, the more we hear the pastimes of the Lord, the more clearing is done, So easy it is. It's very easy, like Ajay was saying, but at the same time, it's difficult because we have to work on it every day. It's just like health. You just don't look after health when you're ill. You have to look after it when you're well as well. So this is the problem. So it's a 24/7 situation with bhakti as well.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. And Granthraji Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari.
Very well.
Thank you so.
Krishna.
Sorry for taking a bit
Hare
extra time
Krishna.
today. We'll catch up again on Friday.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hari
Hare
Hari.
Krishna.